Hey everybody, we are back, and we're going to start the next case. A criminal case. This will be number 40. Game, set, murder. Hi Matthew, I visited Zoe at the psychiatric facility today. She's going through a hard time at the moment. I figured I'd come in for a late shift to take my mind off it all. I might as well go over your reports about Rosetta Pierre's past at the Grimsborough University. Yeah, Jones and I have been poring over everything, trying to find the missing piece. You've discovered Rosetta founded a secret society, Ad Astra, when she was at Grim U. And some of the current students restarted the group right around the time the meteorite fell in the forest. Yeah, I bet that's no coincidence, but the group is shrouded in secrecy. Professor Charles and the group's current members are both keeping suspiciously quiet about it. But what is Ad Astra? Who are they, and how do they fit into Rosetta's plans? Matthew, I won't rest until I find out. I need to do this for Zoe. Those questions will have to wait, Matthew. A body's been found at the university workshop. Another murder on campus. When it rains, it pours. Literally, it's bucketing out there. Well, Matthew, let's get over to the university. I'll drive. That's pretty gruesome. There we are. Dear God, that poor girl's had her head crushed in a vise. What a horribly painful way to die, Matthew. This is the work of a sick mind. And look, the victim's hands have been restrained with plastic ties. What on earth happened here, Matthew? We don't even know who this girl is, or what she was doing in this workshop so late at night. You're right. Reassembling those pieces of wood might offer up a clue. They were right next to the body. We've got our work cut out for us, Matthew. The pressure's on to catch this ruthless killer before the night is over. You know what? I'm going to take care of the broken wood right now. Mr. Field says safety first. Those wooden pieces are a plaque, Matthew. Mr. Fields says safety first. The university staff director lists a certain Bradley Fields, a shop teacher. This must be his workshop. Maybe he can identify the victim, Matthew. Come on, let's see what Mr. Fields can tell us. Okay, now I'm gonna have to get some stars, so everybody sit tight. Okay, I have 9 stars, or collected 9 stars, and now I have 8. But I figure that's enough. Whew. Officers, what's so important that you dragged me into the police station at this time of night? We'd like you to look at this photograph and see if you can identify this woman. Now be warned, it's pretty gruesome. That's Stephanie Griff, with her head stuck in a vise. What on earth happened? We were hoping you might be able to fill in some details, Mr. Fields. Well, I can tell you Stephanie was one of my students, but she hated woodworking. She was at the university on a tennis scholarship. She only took my class because she had to. But her heart was never in it. She'd be out playing on the tennis court all the time if she could. Thank you, Mr. Fields, for helping us identify Miss Griff. Now, Matthew, if the victim spent so much time on the tennis court, we should go check it out. Oh, I thought that was a clue. Darn it, I missed. Darn it, Matthew. On top of everything else, it still hasn't stopped raining. At least you found a clue. That's the victim's wallet. Those are her initials, so she must have been out here earlier tonight. Let's see if there are any clues hidden inside Miss Griff's wallet. Good thinking, Matthew. That tool belt could have come from our primary crime scene. Maybe that leather engraving will offer up a new lead. Cut right. This engraving says cut right, Matthew. Darn it, I was hoping for something more than a brand name. You recognize that brand, Matthew? You're saying that the university's groundskeeper, Gunnar Burns, uses this brand of tools? Oh right, he's that grumpy fellow who threatened a student with hedge clippers during a recent investigation. Let's hope Mr. Burns' mood has improved, because we need to ask him some questions about Stephanie Griff. Gunnar Burns? Senior Tripper Matthew. Griff. She was murdered earlier this evening. Another dead student? Bah! That figures. Griff, you say? Yeah, I know her. The university's #1 tennis star. A dang diva princess, if you ask me. Yeah, we're aware of your dislike of students. Just tell us what you know about her. She'd be out here on the court all the time, even when it's raining cats and dogs, like now. Playing with some guy, I can't remember his name. Tall fellow with bushy hair and a red headband. Now if we're done here, I'll be leaving. You weren't lying, Matthew. That guy's a grouch. But you're right. Burns did say he often saw Stephanie Griff with a fellow tennis player. Now what was his description? Tall, bushy hair, red headband. Let's run these features through the database and try to make a positive identification. We're gonna have all these stars collected by then. Alright, Matthew, let's see if Gunner's description of a possible witness matches anyone in our database. I don't think it's Blake Studebaker. No, that's definitely not him. Bam. John McKenzie. Well, that's a cheesy name. Otherwise, John McEnroe. You found a match on that physical description, Matthew. The other tennis player Gunnar Burns saw on that court is fellow student John McKenzie. Which makes John McKenzie the perfect person to talk to about our murdered tennis star. Let's see what this guy has to say. Mr. McKenzie, we'd like to talk to you about Stephanie Griff. Oh, brother, don't tell me she wants to practice again. We've been at it all day. I'm afraid she won't be practicing again. Miss Griff was murdered earlier this evening. Oh my God, Stephanie's dead? I can't believe it. How is that possible? I hope you don't think I had anything to do with it. I'm not a rival or anything. Stephanie and I were doubles partners, Senior Trooper Matthew. We were on the same side. I never hurt her. Nobody's accusing you of anything, Mr. McKenzie, but if you and Stephanie were close, maybe you'd know if anything strange was going on in her life. Tennis was Stephanie's life, Senior Trooper Matthew. She didn't care about anything else. I wish I could help, but that's all I know. 'Ominous message. Are you seeing what I'm seeing, Matthew? There's a card in the victim's wallet that says, "You'll die tonight." That's obviously a threat from the killer. This card must have come from them. But what does it mean? I'll send you to the 8th house. Let's see if Gabriel can make sense of this mysterious message. Hours, and I'll see you guys when both of these are finished. See y'all later. Okay, we have returned, and let's get the results of the ominous message first. A buoyant energy surrounds you, evaporating your cares. Encourage this feeling of empowerment by trying something new. Gabriel, what are you talking about? That's your horoscope for today, Matthew. Horoscope? I assume this has something to do with the killer's threat? Indeed, it's the reference to the 8th house that's particularly telling. It's not an actual place, it's an astrological term. You see, the 12 houses of astrology are symbolic representations of all aspects of human life, such as possessions, family, and relationships. The 8th house represents death, which is why your killer referenced it. This being the case, it's clear they believe in astrology. Astrology or not, I bet the killer won't foresee you coming after them, Matthew. Excuse me. I had a bit of a long week. Matthew, I've performed hundreds of autopsies on murder victims, but this one's been particularly upsetting. Although a wound on the victim's head indicates she was knocked unconscious before being placed in that vise, there's no doubt the increasing pressure and pain woke her up. She was conscious of what was happening to her as the jaws of the vise tightened. Having your skull crushed with a vise is a gruesome way to die, Matthew, but this is exactly what the killer did to your victim. What kind of monster would do such a thing? I hope you've managed to find some sort of lead. I have, Matthew. This particular monster was careless. On one of the victim's... Excuse me. On one of the victim's wrists, where she was restrained with those plastic ties, I noticed an allergic reaction. The reaction was triggered by high concentrations of menthol and eucalyptus, which I determined are traces of heat cream, the kind used to relieve muscle pain. Clearly, the victim didn't use heat cream, given she was allergic to it, which means when the killer tied her up, they left heat cream residue behind. Now that you're on their trail, Matthew, the killer's going to feel the burn. Our investigation into the mysterious secret society Ad Astra has been put on hold, Matthew. We're here braving the reign of the dark, hunting for a sadistic killer. Tennis star Stephanie Griff was tied up before having her head slowly crushed in a vise. Wonder if that's a make-off of Steffi Graf. We know she'd been playing tennis earlier today with her partner John McKenzie. And you wonder if this is off John McEnroe parody, anyway. But we've no clue how she ended up in that workshop. The victim's teacher, Mr. Fields, had no explanation either. As for Gunnar Burns, he clearly had... Where's that light coming from, Matthew? Who's out there? Oh boy. And we'll find out what that light is in Chapter 2. Don't go anywhere. Alright folks, we have returned and let's start Chapter 2 of Game, Set, Murder. We last left off on the light. Stop right there! You shouldn't be out here after curfew. It's us, Dean Walker, Senior Trooper Matthew and Detective Jones. Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, thank goodness it's just you. All these murders have me on edge. That's why I decided to personally keep an eye on the campus after dark. We admire your dedication, Dean Walker, but you'd really be much safer inside. You might be right, Senior Trooper Matthew. Now, I don't know if this will help, but I did see Stephanie Griff in the library this afternoon. Perhaps you'd like to take a look? That's a useful tip, Dean Walker. Senior Trooper Matthew and I will search the library right now. still got the first star anyway. Another 10,000 also coming my way. I'm going to be telling this guy right here. Okay. Let's make this quick, Matthew. The library's kind of creepy at night. I wonder if that broken tablet belongs to the victim. It's sure seen better days. Let's put this tablet back together and see if we can get it working. And listening to what's on that voice recorder might offer us a fresh lead. Go ahead and crack the password. We're just as determined as Dean Walker to protect her students, Matthew. There's a killer on the loose and it's up to us to catch them. Go. We would almost mistake it for a chalkboard. Judging by those initials on the back of this tablet, Matthew, it belongs to the victim. It's still not working though, but if anyone can retrieve lost data from this tablet, it's Kathy. Okay, 12 hours. I got an event tomorrow, but do what I can. I'll get to this as soon as I possibly can. One, four, one, four, one. Okay. Let's see. 4, 1, 8, 1, 4. Okay. Go. 8, 4, 1, 6, 6. Yay. Alright, Matthew, let's press play and listen to what's on this voice recorder. So tell me, Stephanie, when your opponent is about to win and you're on the brink of defeat, what do you do? I survive. I win at all costs. It's all about instincts, Lucius. It's all about instincts, Lucius. That must have been the victim's voice, Matthew. She was talking about defeat and survival instinct. I agree, it's pretty foreboding under the circumstances. And the fellow asking her questions was someone named Lucius, a behavioral science student according to university records. Maybe this voice recorder belonged to him. You're right, Matthew. If the victim spoke of Lucius Roth, so should we. Mr. Roth, Senior Trooper Matthews investigating the murder of Stephanie Griff. We understand you spoke with her. That's correct. I interviewed Stephanie as part of my research drawing parallels between athletes and the human survival instinct. Research? Like a psychological test? It's more than psychology, Senior Trooper Matthews. It's behavioral science, but I wouldn't expect you to understand the difference. I study the relationship between cause and effect, the ripples that a single pebble in a pond creates, the complex interactions between humans. Right, and you're not the slightest bit fazed by Miss Griff's murder? This is hardly the first murder on campus, and isn't it your job to worry about that? Your compassion is touching, Mr. Roth. Just make sure you stay on campus in case you need to speak with you again. So do I think he's the killer? My gut says no, but you never know. But I'll let the tablet run its course. I'll see you guys in that. There we go. Alright, folks, we have come back, and let's get the results of the victim's tablet. The victim's tablet was pretty banged up, Matthew. It was difficult to retrieve any data, even for me. Did you find anything at all, Kathy? Of course. It turns out the victim frequently used an online taxi service, booking rides about 4 times a week. Which isn't unusual, except for some suggestive reviews Miss Griff wrote for one of the drivers. Suggestive reviews? Like this one. I'm glad you had your eyes on the road because I couldn't take mine off of you. Or, never mind dropping me at my place, let's just go to yours. All these reviews are for the same driver, a certain Miranda Cohen. Well, Matthew, the victim might have been a regular passenger, but maybe she was more than just a customer. Let's ask Miss Cohen. Pretty active day for me so far. I actually took part in Heiau, whereas I moved some branches today, but by the time I post this video, that picture is probably going to be well into my history on my timeline. Excuse me, officers, if you're after a ride, it'll have to be quick. I'm picking up a client from Walton Square in 10 minutes. Miss Cohen, we're not after a ride. We're investigating the murder of one of your regular passengers. And our evidence suggests that Stephanie Griff was interested in more than your driving skills. What? Stephanie's dead? Yes, Stephanie often booked rides to the tennis court, and I won't deny it, we developed a mutual attraction. Before long, we were seeing each other regularly, and now you're telling me Stephanie's gone forever. All I can say is how perfect she was, Senior Trooper Matthew. The only thing we ever argued about was my heat cream. She hated the stuff. I'm begging you, Senior Trooper Matthew, you have to find whoever hurt Stephanie. What's that, Matthew? Yes, I noticed Miss Cohen's bow and arrow necklace, but I was trying to keep her calm. Do you think it's important? All right, that's the symbol for the star sign Sagittarius. If Miss Cohen wears an accessory like that, she must believe in astrology. Let's add that to her profile. Meanwhile, it's probably a good idea to search that tennis court again, in case there's something we overlooked. Tennis ball box. Oh! I'm not gonna get the first star now. Nope. Did not work out. It seems the rain stopped, Matthew. That's good news. And you found some more clues, which is even better. This looks like a university newsletter with a cover story featuring the victim. You're right. It looks like someone scribbled something on the cover. I'll grab your dusting kit so we can retrieve what's written. Oh, this is cool. It's a locked box, shaped like a tennis ball. I wonder if this belongs to the victim. Let's unlock it and find out. I'm not as enthusiastic to go rifling through that trash can, Matthew. Would you mind doing that? And excuse me a moment while I go get some more stars. Okay, I got 3 additional stars for that, so I am going to get this over with now. Ooh. Look at the message written on that newsletter, Matthew. What about my blood, sweat, and tears, you diva princess? Someone clearly had a snarky attitude towards the victim, but why? You're right, Matthew. Diva princess is what Gunnar Burns called Stephanie when we spoke to him. So he wrote this message. Gunnar Burns is a cranky old man who dislikes all students. But what if he had a personal beef with the victim? Let's find out. You again, Senior Trooper Matthew. What is it now? We'd like you to explain the snarky message about Stephanie Griff. What did your blood, sweat, and tears have to do with her? Everything! Stephanie wouldn't have been such a star player without my hard work. Griff would call me at all hours demanding I set up her court so she could practice like I was some slave. Typical Gemini. My muscles ache so badly from all the work, I can't go a day without my heat cream. I complained to Dean Walker, but she said do whatever the dang star player wants, and if I didn't like it, I could leave. And you're sure you didn't take your frustrations out on her? Senior Trooper Matthew, you think I have time to go after every student who annoys me? Now get out of my way. I've got to clean these leaves off the court now that the rain stopped. WH4. 351. Oh. There we go. Woo. This tennis ball shaped box is full of pills, Matthew. That's not what I expected to find. But what kind of capsules are these? Let's put one under the microscope and find out. Oh, steroids. Matthew, those capsules are anabolic steroids, the kind athletes use to enhance their performance. But you're right, Martine didn't find any steroids in the victim's system. And the only athlete we've spoken to was the victim's tennis partner, John McKenzie. Do you think these are his pills? There's just one person who can answer that question, John McKenzie himself. Mr. McKenzie, Senior Trooper Matthew found these steroid capsules. Care to explain? It's not what you think, Senior Trooper Matthew. Those aren't my pills. I didn't want to rat her out, but those are She wanted us both to take steroids before our next tournament. I was horrified. I knew she was desperate to win, but taking drugs goes against my sense of fair play. So you're saying you refused to use them? Of course I did. If either of us got caught, we'd lose our scholarships, and my career would be over. So we argued, and I gave Stephanie a choice. Play as my partner or take drugs. She couldn't have both. Capricorns like me don't take chances. The only substance I'll use to enhance my performance is heat cream. I hope for your sake you didn't put an end to your partnership permanently. I kind of don't think that the criminal case is going to make a case with some parodies of supercross racers, which is the sport that I follow, motorcycle racing. Riders like Eli Tomac, Chad Reed, Joey Savacci, Marvin Muscan, Cooper Webb. I don't think anybody on the staff was a fan. There we go. Ooh. Bloody receipt. Your instincts were spot on, Matthew. There's a blood-stained scrap of paper in that trash can. It looks like some sort of receipt. Let's see. We know Stephanie was playing tennis here before she was knocked unconscious and dragged to the workshop, so this could easily be her blood on the receipt. I agree, Matthew. Let's send this receipt to the lab to find more answers. $9. Oh, 2 more crime scenes to do. So, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and speed this up. I can get the stars a little later. He's eating a taco. Sorry, Matthew, I shouldn't be talking with my mouth full, but I got so hungry tracking down this food receipt. That burrito is making me hungry too, Amir, but Matthew's right. Let's deal with our clue first. Of course, I've analyzed that blood stain, which was a perfect match for the victim. So Matthew's right. It could only have been the killer who threw that receipt away on the tennis court after they knocked Stephanie unconscious. And that's not all, Matthew. I looked up the reference number on the receipt, and it turns out it's for a kangaroo order, one of those apps where you can have food delivered. Jasper and I use it all the time on movie night. Now, the victim doesn't have a kangaroo account, and the killer uses an anonymous login, but it's clear the killer orders from the app on a regular basis. I hope the killer enjoyed their meal, Matthew. It'll be bread and water from now on. Our list of suspects is growing, Matthew, but who among them would be capable of crushing Stephanie Griff's head in a vise? The victim's tennis partner claims those steroids he found belong to her, but we've only got his word for it. And then there's Gunnar Burns, who was fuming he had to pander to the victim's every whim or lose his job. Lucius Roth seems unfazed by the crime, but we can't arrest him for being pompous. One thing is certain, What's that noise, Matthew? He's hit with the tennis ball. Whoa, whoa. Wow. We'll see you guys for Chapter 3. Do not go anywhere. Okay, we have come back and let's start Chapter 3 of Game, Set, and Murder. This is what we left off on. Quick, Matthew, turn that bar machine off. This is great, Matthew. I'm already working the late shift. I get drenched in the rain, and now I'm attacked by a malfunctioning tennis ball machine? You're right. It'll be safer doing another sweep of the library, as long as it gets us closer to solving this case. Excuse me about that, folks. And my nose bleed a little earlier today. Okay, there we go. An X-ray. There we are. There we are. Any help? No. Holy donut sprinkles, Matthew. Look at what's written on that manuscript. Tightening the vise. That's how Stephanie Griff was killed. Let's retrieve that faded text to figure out what this is about. And that tennis bag belongs to Stephanie. You're right. Searching through the victim's belongings is always a good call. But that x-ray of a broken hand also has Griff written on it. Except Martine didn't mention the victim was injured. I wonder what it means. You're right. Vacuuming up a sample of that brown powder might explain this. We're closing in on our killer, Matthew. They'll be game, set, and match before they know it. I'm gonna do everything right now. You'll pay for this, I bet. Yep. You'll pay for this, script. Vacuuming up that brown powder revealed the full text on that x-ray, Matthew. It says, "You'll pay for this, Griff." So this isn't the victim's hand, but someone else's. And that someone blames Stephanie for their injury. You're right, Matthew. Sending this powder to the lab might shed some light on this story. Okay. Wow. That's pretty gruesome. Matthew, this document about tightening the vise is a thesis paper written by Lucius Roth. I thought Lucius was just an arrogant brat when we spoke to him, but now he's at the top of my suspect list. Let's go grill him. Mr. Roth, when we spoke before, you neglected to mention that torture was in your area of expertise. Are you talking about my thesis? That's just research, and I'm a sucker for provocative titles. That paper is purely theoretical. It explores how torture could be used to push a person to their breaking point, beyond the boundaries of their will. Theoretical? Stephanie Griff's head wasn't crushed in a theoretical vise. Let me break this down for you, Senior Trooper Matthew. If Stephanie's murder was an interrogation, it was a pretty sloppy job. You want the subject to talk, not die. And I'm hardly advocating torture. I'm a pacifist, like all Aquarians. You don't strike me as a pacifist, Mr. Roth. Mark my words, we've got our eye on you. Unfortunately, it's not him. A stun gun. What the heck? There's a stun gun in Stephanie's bag with a note attached to it. The note says, "Next time I'll use this on you, babe." This is no joke, Matthew. Stun guns are extremely dangerous. You think this note is written by Stephanie Griff's girlfriend? The term babe does imply someone who was close to her. But why? Miranda Cohen was crying before, but perhaps it was all an act. We better ask her and find out. Oh, it's you, Senior Trooper Matthew. I just ordered takeout from Kangaroo. John's ordered some too and is coming over so we can console each other. Care to join us? Well, Miss Cohen, what we need to understand is why you threatened to use a stun gun on your girlfriend. Oh my god, you know about that? That was just between the two of us. That wasn't a threat, Senior Trooper Matthew. Steph and I had special interests in the bedroom. You know, whips, chains, and leather and all that. It was Stephanie's idea to take things up a notch. She wanted me to shock her with that stun gun. Are you telling us that Miss Griff found electric shocks pleasurable? Well, it might sound unusual to you, but it was completely consensual. It also sounds completely suspicious, Miss Cohen, given your girlfriend was killed by having her head crushed in a vise. You're not suggesting I killed her. What we did in the bedroom is one thing, Senior Trooper Matthew, but outright torture is quite another. Well, she is in the running. And I'll see you guys a little later. Well, I said I'd be back a little earlier than usual. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. You weren't barking up the wrong tree with that powder you collected off that X-ray, Matthew. Those are actually small fragments of the Quercus Fagaceae. Curious what? Quercus Fagaceae. It's the Latin term for oak wood. In other words, that powder is sawdust. Sawdust? Like the kind you would find in a workshop? Then Matthew's right. That X-ray must belong to Bradley Fields. He never said anything about to us about any injuries, Matthew, but obviously Bradley Fields blamed the victim for it. Let's get his side of the story. Excuse me. Time to tell us the truth, Mr. Fields. We found what you wrote about Stephanie Griff on your X-ray. So you know about my broken hand. Well, it was all Stephanie's fault. Not only was she careless, Stephanie was downright dangerous around power tools. One afternoon, she wasn't paying attention to the mill press. In order to save Stephanie's precious tennis star hands, I had to injure my own. My hand's been permanently damaged. The pain is so bad sometimes I have to use heat cream. And the worst thing is, the ungrateful twerp never even apologized. I was telling Mr. Burns about her in the staff room while we ate our kangaroo orders. People with their head in the clouds don't belong in a workshop. But Stephanie ended up with her head in a vise. Are you sure you didn't want to hurt her because she hurt you? Haven't you been listening, Senior Trooper Matthew? I risk my own health to protect my students. I don't go around murdering them. Apparently Stephanie Griff's life is more complicated than her tennis, Matthew. The victim's girlfriend said Stephanie had a taste for pain in the bedroom, but does that explain the torturous way she was killed? Speaking of torture, Lucius Roth wrote a whole thesis on the subject. I find that highly coincidental, Matthew. We've always known this murder was the work of a twisted mind, but it's time Stephanie's killer paid for the crime. I'm with you, Matthew. Let's take another look around the workshop. Excuse me. Having a yawn there. Oh, I think I see the lollipop. There we go. I got the first star already. You found the victim's tennis racket, Matthew. Her name is engraved on the handle. And look, the top is stained with blood. We know Stephanie was knocked up before being strapped into that vise. The killer must have used this racket to do it. Let's take a sample of those fibers on the handle. They must have been left behind by the killer. And I agree, Matthew, that Lot's box is the perfect place to hide evidence. Let's crack it open. Come on, Matthew. It won't be long before a sadistic killer is behind bars. Oh no. 524. Y4. Yep. There's a bag of plastic ties inside that locked box, Matthew. And you're right. These ties look identical to the ones used to restrain the victim. If these are the same kind of ties, then the killer must have handled these. Let's get them to the lab. we go. Alright, Matthew, let's not waste a second and rush these fibers you collected off the victim's tennis racket to Amir. And I'll see you guys when both of these are done. I'll have all stars collected by then. See y'all later. Okay, we have come back and we will get the results of the zip ties right now. Those plastic ties you sent me are a case-cracking clue, Matthew. I compared the serial number that's on all of these ties to the one that was used to restrain the victim, and they're from the same batch. So these are the killer's plastic ties, Matthew. Did you find anything else on them, Amir? Well, I did find minute traces of cypress oil on them, a plant extract that's used to reduce the appearance of bruising. Since the killer was the only one to handle these plastic ties, they must be nursing a nasty bruise. Well, Matthew, our bruised killer is about to get a blemish on their record: murder. Matthew, those fibers you found on the victim's tennis racket have reminded me of Rupert. Rupert? How do you mean, Amir? Because of his fondness of wristwatches, those fibers are thin strips of leather, the kind used for a watch band. Oh. You see, Rupert explained that certain types of leather are specially treated, making them resistant to moisture and the oils of a person's skin. These leather strips have been treated like that. They must have come from the killer's watch as they gripped the victim's tennis racket and struck her unconscious. You know what this means, Matthew? It's almost time we arrested our killer. Keep your eyes peeled for the wristwatch. We've gathered all the pieces of this puzzle, Matthew. Let's close this case and arrest Stephanie Griff's killer. Okay, let's see. It is not Bradley Fields. Wait a minute. No, it's not John McKenzie. It's definitely not Lucius Roth. And it's not Miranda Cohen. So, how ironic is this? Gunnar Burns, you're under arrest for the cruel murder of Stephanie Griff. Bah! I told you, I'm too busy to go around murdering students. Well, you weren't too busy to murder Stephanie. You knocked her out with your own tennis racket after she finished practicing tonight. Knocked her out? I don't know what you're talking about. You know exactly what we're talking about. When she was unconscious, you restrained her and dragged her to the workshop. We found your plastic ties. I'm a groundskeeper, Senior Trooper Matthew. I have all kinds of odds and ends like that. Doesn't make me a killer. Stop lying, Burns. It's obvious you planned to kill Stephanie tonight. You even sent her a threat. We know you thought Stephanie was a diva, but did you really crush her skull for that? Of course I didn't kill her for being a diva. I wanted to make her talk. I needed to know how much she... You needed to know what? What did you want Stephanie to talk about? Nothing. It was nothing, Senior Trooper Matthew. Come on, Burns. You must have had a reason to commit such a brutal act. Why not get it off your chest now? Senior Trooper Matthew, I've already admitted that I did it. I killed Stephanie Griff. I ain't saying anything more. Then I'll do the talking. Gunner Burns, you're under arrest for the murder of Stephanie Griff. Gunner Burns, you're charged with the torture and murder of Stephanie Griff. How do you plead? I'm guilty, Your Honor. That's all? You have nothing to say in your defense? Very well. This crime is particularly disturbing, extinguishing the life of a young woman in such a cruel manner. It's therefore the decision of this court to sentence you to life imprisonment without any possibility of parole. Life? Dang it, this isn't how this was supposed to end. This was a harrowing case, Matthew. A bright tennis star murdered by a cold-blooded killer in the most heinous of fashions. But our arrest of Gunner Burns has raised even more questions. What does that mean? He wanted to find out what Stephanie knew. Burns is obviously hiding something. There's much more to this case than meets the eye, Matthew. You must get to the bottom of this. I'll see you guys for Original Sin 4-6. Okay, we have returned. Let's go to Original Sin 4-6. Matthew, I'll sleep easier tonight knowing that Gunner Burns is behind bars in the murder of Stephanie Griff. But his arrest has raised some troubling questions. Burns said he tortured the victim to find out what she knew. Whatever he's hiding, it was serious enough to kill over. And after the recent murders at the university, I'd rather tie up any loose ends. You think we should talk to the victim's girlfriend again, Matthew? You're right. If Stephanie did know a secret, perhaps she mentioned it to Miranda Cohen. That's a smart plan, Matthew, but we must also stay on Ad Astra's trail. We know the secret society Rosetta founded was restarted by current students about a year ago. But nobody wants to talk to us about it, so we still don't know what Ad Astra stands for, or how they fit into Rosetta's plans. You're right, Matthew, the university library might hold some clues. I'm ready to take a look with you. Go ahead, and search for any leads you can find, Matthew. I'll meet you later to find out if Miranda Cohen knows anything about Gunner Burns. There we go. Okay. If there's any trace of Ad Astra in this library, Matthew, we're sure to find it. Let's start our search by looking through that wooden chest. There's nothing but a bunch of dusty academic journals in this wooden chest. Even that book you picked up is dry as a stale cracker, just census statistics. But you're right, Matthew, everything inside this book is handwritten. And look, there's something here about Ad Astra. So this boring cover is just a disguise. This whole book is about the secret society. There's too much written in this book for us to go through, Matthew, but this will be right up Gabriel's alley. Okay, this will be 6 hours. Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, I heard you arrested the monster who killed Stephanie. I hope he rots in jail. Gunner Burns won't be harming anyone ever again, but we still have some unanswered questions. Apparently Stephanie was killed because of some secret she seems to know about Burns. Did she ever mention anything to you? No, Senior Trooper Matthew, she didn't. Before today, I never even heard the man's name. But if you think Stephanie discovered something, it might be on her camera. She carried that thing all the time, snapping pictures of everything. Thanks for the tip, Miss Cohen. If Stephanie Griff always had her camera with her, Matthew, we might find it at the tennis court. You must find out why that monster murdered Stephanie, Senior Trooper Matthew, and please take this. It was one of her most prized possessions. Okay, let's see if we can find that camera. Right there. Great work, Matthew. This must be Stephanie's camera. We'll know for sure after you've cracked the camera's password. Yes. This camera was definitely Stephanie Griff's. There's a selfie of her and her girlfriend. There are too many pictures for us to sift through ourselves, Matthew. Let's have Kathy go through this camera with a fine-tooth comb. And this is, 3 hours only. Okay. So I'll see you guys when both of these are done. See y'all later. Okay, we have returned. Let's get the results of Stephanie's camera first. There are literally hundreds of pictures on this camera, Matthew. Most of them taken on the university campus. It sure brought me back to my college days. But there's a photo here you're going to want to see, taken a week ago. It's this picture of the university tennis court. The focus of the photo is the scoreboard in the foreground. But if you look closely, you can see Gunnar Burns in the background. He's digging up the court in the dead of night. Digging up the tennis court? Why on earth would Burns do that? You did say Burns had a secret and Stephanie discovered it. This photograph might be proof that Burns was involved in something shady. Matthew's right. Gunnar Burns was the university groundskeeper. So what if he was doing the above board? So if what he was doing was above board, Dean Walker will know. Let's ask her about it. Thank goodness you caught that cold-blooded killer secret, Super Matthew. Well, we actually have some loose ends to tie up. We wanted to ask you about this photograph Stephanie Griff took. Can you see Gunnar Burns in the background? I can, but what's he doing? I never authorized any resurfacing work on that court. Whatever he's doing, it might be what got Stephanie Griff killed. Senior Trooper Matthew, if you think something untoward was going on, you have my permission to dig up that court. We appreciate your cooperation, Dean Walker. If we're going to go out digging, Matthew, let's have a bite to eat. Alright, Matthew, we've got our shovel. Are you ready to start digging? Remember to put your back into it. Matthew, I think I put my back into it a little too much. But I think we found it. I can see something sticking out of the dirt. Let's see what's in this hole. Holy cow, Matthew! This looks like a pile of bones. Those broken pieces could be a shattered skull. My God, is it possible that Gunnar Burns was burying a body? Did that Stephanie Griff saw him do it? First things first, Matthew. It sounds pretty grim, but we should piece that skull back together. That's some bullet hole right there. I'm no coroner, Matthew, but I think that's a human skull. You're right. We better send the skull to our team to see if she can identify these remains. Okay, this is not ours. Now let's get the Ad Astra volume out of the way. This book was a marvelous find, Matthew. This jumble of notes is entirely about Ad Astra. Some of the contributions are old, from Rosetta's time, while others were added recently, but the book is essentially an Ad Astra manifesto. Finally, you might get some answers, Matthew. What exactly does the book say? There are various musings about a range of subjects, from the future of mankind to ethics. But it all boils down to one central theme, the division of humans into those who are superior in intellect and stature, and the rest of society seen by Ad Astra to be mere sheeple. According to their ideology, the superior individuals are meant to rule over the others, while the sheeple are better off without the burden of decision-making. So Ad Astra believes that some people are naturally superior, right? Well, I can easily believe that Rosetta, a child genius, thought herself exceptional. And you're right, Matthew. The mind-altering drug Rosetta tried to unleash on Grimsborough fits in with her idea that people shouldn't think for themselves. Matthew, I think we discovered the ideology Dreamlight's whole scheme was based on. What else does that book say, Gabriel? Are there any leads on the current members of Ad Astra? The book only mentions one name, Professor Charles. Apparently, he was the one who introduced Rosetta to the theory of selective superiority. Aha! So the professor does know more about Ad Astra. He made a nervous exit before, but he won't slip away from us this time. How Ace is able to reach out to some of the people who made this game with character based off of him. Hopefully it might be something to me, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Senior Trooper Matthew, what brings you here at this hour of darkness, when the pressing questions of our existence seem most poignant? We do have pressing questions indeed. It's time you told us the truth about Ad Astra. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Come on, Professor. We know you were the inspiration behind Rosetta Pierre's secret society. Very well, Senior Trooper Matthew. You leave me no choice. But pray don't judge me too harshly. Rosetta was a brilliant pupil on a true quest for human greatness. But she was lonely, so I encouraged her to find like-minded friends. That's how Ad Astra started, a talented group of kids reading books and discussing the future of humanity together. But before long, I became uncomfortable with the direction their discussions were going. Why? Weren't you the one who taught them about superior humans who should rule over the sheeple? Senior Trooper Matthew, selective superiority is an age-old theoretical concept, one that should never be put into practice. But that's exactly what Rosetta and her friends wanted to do. You've seen the consequences of that yourself, Senior Trooper Matthew. Rosetta and her Dreamlight. I wanted no part of it. Then help us, Professor. Tell us who among the current students are part of Ad Astra. I was done with Ad Astra years ago, and I like to keep it that way. And that's my final word on the subject. And that's going to do our weekly Skull Awareness course, and I'll see you guys for that time. Don't go anywhere, folks. Okay, we have come back and get the results of Skull. Probably already suspected now, this skull and the electrical skull are the remains of human beings. And from this crack in the top of the skull, it's clear they were murdered, killed by a blunt force trauma to the head. What? murder? Marcine, do we know who the victim is? Yes. I consulted the Grimsboro dental records, and the victim was Clara Burns, Gunner's ex-wife. But the strangest thing is, although Clara Burns has been dead for at least 20 years, there was never a murder investigation. According to census reports, Mrs. Burns simply left town. So let me get this straight. Burns bludgeoned his ex-wife to death 20 years ago and got away with it? Apparently so. Stephanie Griffin took that picture of his buried body on the tennis court. But why bury her now after 20 years? And why on the university tennis court? You're right, Matthew. Only Gunnar Burns can explain that. Alright, Burns, we know your dirty secret, the one you killed to cover up. There's no sense lying about it now. Did you murder your ex-wife 20 years ago? Not unless you can prove it. I didn't. We have all the proof we need, starting with this photo Stephanie took, and your ex-wife's remains. I'm sorry, I knew she saw me out there. I might as well tell you now, it's not like 2 life sentences any longer than 1. My wife took everything I had in a divorce. Clara was a nasty woman. So I bashed her head in with a brick and buried her in my backyard. Nobody was the wiser. Until the dang local council came along with their anti-internet cable what's-its. They needed to dig behind the house. I had to move Clara. So I decided to resurface the tennis court. But while I was working, I noticed Stephanie Griffin in the shadows. I had to make sure she wouldn't talk. In the end, she didn't. You were the one who tipped us off during your arrest. It took 20 years, but justice has finally caught up with you, Burns. It's time you paid for your ex-wife's murder. Quite a busy evening, Matthew. Not only did you arrest Gunnar Burns for the sadistic murder of Stephanie Griffin, you literally unearthed evidence that he also murdered his ex-wife, burying the body under that tennis court. The university campus will be a much safer place than you behind bars. However, we made some unsettling discoveries about Rosetta's secret society, Ad Astra, and its connection to dream life. According to that book you found, Matthew, Professor Charles was the inspiration behind Rosetta's original group. Apparently, Ad Astra adheres to the notion that they're superior to the rest of humankind, and that they should rightfully rule over the unworthy sheeple. Experimentation to develop Protozane, a drug that renders people docile and compliant, seems to be our attempt to make theory a reality. So Greenlight's plan was to put Ad Astra's ideology into practice. And although we won the battle by shutting down Greenlight and their plans for Protozane, Rosetta's war may not be over. Could the students who started Ad Astra have something to do with Rosetta's plan? If that's the case, Matthew, finding out who the new members of the secret society are is more desperate than ever. It's up to us to find out what they're planning. I know I'm gonna get all these sticker packs, so you don't really need to see this. Okay. So now we're gonna move to a new case, but that's not gonna come out until at least on Thursday. I guess is right. Second last case is Bridgeport University District, I should say. October 25th. That is Thursday. Okay. Sticker packs here. away. But life goes on. And I will see you guys on October 25th. So I'll see you all later.